name is Cynthia Sepulveda, and I'm the CEO and founder of Flaco Coquito. Flaco Coquito is a company that I started and was launched in 2017. Coquito, I don't know if everyone knows about Coquito, but Coquito is a traditional drink that comes from the island of Puerto Rico. Flaco Coquito is a vegan and organic version of that drink. A little bit background about me. I worked in finance for 17 years. My last two positions was CAO of Lehman Brothers Convertible Trading, Chief Administrative Officer. And as well, I worked for a small portfolio management firm, McHugh Associates. I was Assistant Vice President of Operations. So before we get into the topic, I'm going to share a small presentation that I put together. When I first had the idea of Flaco Coquito, it came from a need in my family. My mother passed away in 2015, and with the loss of my mother, I was mourning my mother months after she passed, and I wasn't working on my business. So I was sitting on the sofa, mourning my mom and feeling horrible. I started getting all these different emails and signs, and one of them was the Growthsource Academy. The person who shared it with me told me, apply right away, because I know the person who's organizing this, and she has about hundreds and hundreds of applicants. It's going to be really tough to get into, but please apply. She had actually applied as well, and she didn't get into that group. But I thought, how am I going to get into that group? I really didn't believe I was going to get in because there's hundreds and hundreds of applicants. But I applied, and I was selected, and I felt so fearful. I felt so scared. But I entered the first day. I walked into the boardroom, and there was Marianne doing the activity, making sure everybody was engaging and introducing themselves. And I'm looking around everyone, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't belong here. Like, what am I doing here, right? So she comes up to me, she's like, hi, so tell me about yourself. And I share my story, and I give her my elevator pitch, which was sharing my family story. The reason why I started my family business was due to cancer and diabetes in my family. My grandmother, when she passed away, the culture is, being Puerto Rican is a culture. So when she passed away, that sort of died out with her. And I wanted to continue the tradition. And I'm telling Marianne my story. And as I'm telling her my story, she starts to get goosebumps. She's like, oh, I feel like goosebumps while you're telling me this story. And I'm super inspired by it. And that was like, wow, like I felt the presence of my mom. And so as we're all sitting down and we're doing an activity, I feel a few moments later, just like a pat on top of my head. And I look back and no one was present. And at that moment, I knew I was in the right place. The Growthsource Academy was an integral part of launching Flaco Coquito. It gave me the confidence through their coaching and exercises to take the fear that I have from taking this concept into idea to actually selling in liquor stores by 2017. So that was the exciting part of that. But I was still suffering internally from the negative talk. And it was something that was affecting me throughout for a few years. So last year, I was able to discover what imposter syndrome was. Last year, I was taking a workshop. I was trying to keep busy and also think about ways of pivoting my business with this environment, COVID. The sales were stale, and because everything was shut down, it was really hard to get new accounts. And so I joined this workshop, and in the workshop, it was a coach, and she talked about imposter syndrome. And she told her story. And I was super inspired by her story, how this super intellectual woman, how she lived a life where she was working really hard and she was a millionaire. She was making tons of money. She was unhappy in her marriage and she was unhappy at work. She was overworking herself and undervaluing herself. So once she discovered the syndrome, she was then able to fix it. So knowing is half the battle. once after that, I was super inspired. And so let's get into what imposter syndrome is. So imposter syndrome is a phenomenon. It's a feeling that you get inside that all your successes are attributed to some type of outside force or luck, as how I felt when I got into the Growthsource Academy. And how I felt about a lot of my successes in life was always, I always felt that I didn't belong, or it was attributed to luck. And the fear of someone discovering that I'm not intelligent enough, that I don't belong, has carried with me for years. And I just never knew what it was. And a lot of this, the symptoms that I have here was self-doubt is a huge one. Attributing your success to external forces and factors, berating your performance. So if I had, at work, if I was given a promotion, I really didn't I felt like deep inside, like I did not merit that promotion. Um, I, I worked double. I worked more than my counterparts and my associates. So when I was working for Lehman Brothers, for example, I was promoted to chief administrative officer. And in that promotion, not only did I do that position while they were trying to replace me with my previous position, I was performing my previous position, I was performing my position, and then I was doing other work. And I was compensating for the fact that I truly believed that I didn't belong there. Here I am, this Latina woman. I grew up in the projects. I worked all my life, and I was surrounded by men. And to find out that my counterparts, my associates were getting paid double than I was getting paid, but I still felt like I wasn't worthy. So I was undervaluing myself. And that is a huge um, uh, problem with imposter syndrome. And so throughout my career, when I left Lehman Brothers, they actually replaced me with two full-time people and one part-time person. And still then, I still didn't believe that I was worth it, right? I was recruited by McCune Associates as as to work in their operations, and they actually valued me. It was a small company, and they paid me accordingly. And I was paid great. I got bonuses, accolades, really great group to work for. I was promoted within 2 years to AVP of operations. And still, I still believe that I wasn't worthy of that position. Shortly after I left McCune Associates, I, due to family reasons, I started Flaco Coquito. Being an entrepreneur was something that I've always wanted. It was one of my dreams since I was a child. And when I thought, where did imposter syndrome come from my life? I took it back once I started researching it to my childhood. So my sister was deemed a genius. Okay, she was talking by 1 and reading by 1 years old. And by 5 years old, she was sounding like Aretha Franklin and drawing like Picasso, right? And here I was, this average student where I was still struggling with writing at like 4 and 5. So, our parents would call her the smart one and I was the pretty one. And unfortunately, that's what stayed with us. With that carried me throughout my whole life. And knowing that that's where I start really did help me. So I think that once you stop sabotaging your own success, because having imposter syndrome is one of the effects is sabotaging your business. And if you work for someone else, overworking yourself and undervaluing yourself. So last year I was acknowledged for the success that I had during COVID. So during last year, I would say at the end of summer, close to fall, I was given the opportunity to be featured on CBS. And I normally would take things, I normally would say no to things. I said yes to some things, but I would say no to things. For example, I was nominated for the MV magazine's Movers and Shakers, and I did accept the award and I did do the ceremony, but I felt like I wasn't worthy of it at all. When my product was launched, I won a global award, Spirits Award. And even though I won that award, I was still fearful that people were going to not like my product, or how did I even win? Why did I win? Why was I acknowledged? So when CBS came to play and I started working on myself with imposter syndrome, I said yes to it. I said absolutely. And I acknowledged that I deserved it. I acknowledged the work that I've put behind my company. And with what I did was I formed a collaboration with a restaurant, and we create these fun cocktails to increase sales for Flaco Coquito and for as well for his restaurant. And not only did he increase revenues, but as we increased sales, and we got this great exposure. And it was a huge feature, and I was super excited about it. I don't like public speaking at all. You know, I'm a huge introvert. So for me, public speaking was always fearful. I was always fear of it. Even this workshop, Marianne afforded this platform for everyone. And so I wanted to be a part of it. And I put myself out there because, you know, why not? So when you feel fear, push through it and do it anyway. So I did this, and I was super proud of myself for doing it. Daily mantra. So how do you get over imposter syndrome? Well, I can only tell you what worked for me. Positive talk. So I value, write down exactly what I did was I wrote down exactly what I've accomplished in life. And I started talking positively to myself. I'm proud of myself. I am in charge of how I feel. I am in charge of that. Forget about the negative talk. You are in charge for how you feel. You belong where you're at. That's a huge one, because some people feel like they don't belong, or they're not good enough. You are good enough. Gratitude. I wake up every day and I'm so grateful for everything I have. So that's a huge one. And never give up. That is so big. You have the power to change anything. If you want to pivot your business, or you want to do something, you have a power. If you want to join someone, do it. Ask, why not? So never give up in your dreams. That's super important. And you are talented. You are capable, and you belong. And that's, keep saying that. And so I say that to myself. Please say that to yourself every day. Change that negative talk. And also, if you ever feel like you want to talk to someone, a mentor, a coach, or a friend, absolutely. Because 70% of people in statistics are suffering from some form of imposter syndrome, which can lead to anxiety and depression, procrastination, or being a perfectionist. In my case, perfectionist was when I was working for the corporation, and procrastination was affected my business. So it also gave me anxiety and depression. So because I had it for so long and I didn't address it. And that's what I wanted to say. And there's some exercises that are on positivepsychology.com that can help you to overcome this as well. And please contact me, follow me on social media at Flaco Coquito. If you have any questions or you want to connect, I am super open to all of that.